McLaren's goal for the P1 is simple: to be the best driver's car in the world on road and track. To that end, you have a carbon fiber chassis, active suspension and aerodynamics, and power from a V8 that's assisted by 2 turbos and an electric motor. In use are the most advanced technologies from McLaren, many of which are inspired by its Formula One efforts. The combined horsepower is 904, cost $1 million, and all 375 examples have been sold. Our brief opportunity to drive the P1 took place at a damp, empty airport in England that you might recognize from a popular British TV show. So here we are, behind the wheel of a prototype version of a 904 horsepower, $1 million hypercar on an unfamiliar track with just a handful of laps to drive. Let's go. All right, so this week on Ignition, we find out what it's like to do 3 laps in a McLaren P1. The acceleration is phenomenal. But we know that already. It has 900 horsepower, thereabouts. The sound is ridiculous as the acceleration. And the car, the experience is overwhelming. We're in race mode. We have traction control off. It's a little greasy, it's a little wet, so things are a little slippery. But this is what it's like to do a British car test of a British car, I guess. This corner is a lot of fun. The level of acceleration, the level of deceleration, the G-forces altogether are otherworldly. I mean, it's insane. The car is stiff in race mode, it's very stiff, but the front end feels light, easy to direct. The stability control is helping out quite a bit, even in race mode. Helping the brakes, you can feel them working a little bit to dial you in, but it's only when you need some help, it seems. It's not extremely forgiving, but surprisingly easy to drive. It's tough to focus and talk and think and drive fast at the same time. Let's not forget that the car generating this overwhelming power is a plug-in hybrid that isn't penalized by a gas guzzler tax. Hit the E-mode button and the engine turns off. From there, you have around 6 miles of range and acceleration like a Civic Si. That, of course, isn't the point of the car. When the engine is on, the motor acts like a 177 horsepower power adder and recharges when you're at partial throttle and when you lift. It's like a boost in video games, refilling after each lap. Power isn't the center point though, it's the sophistication in the aerodynamics and chassis. The bodywork is aggressive, not very pretty, and that's because aside from a few design flourishes, it's designed around airflow. A massive wing and 2 underbody flaps continually adjust depending on what the car's doing, adding drag to help braking or reducing drag to help with top-end speed. In race mode, the ride height drops 2 inches and the wing raises nearly a foot higher. The result is 1,323 pounds of downforce at 160 miles an hour. You can only describe the P1's monumental acceleration in so many ways, but I wanted to find out just how fast it was. So when no one was looking, I grabbed our data acquisition hardware, took the car down the runway out of view, and hit the launch control button, presenting a world-exclusive acceleration run in the McLaren P1. At 9.8 seconds to the quarter mile, the P1 is the quickest production car tested in Motor Trend's 65-year history.
I'm gonna go around one more time because screw the rules. How can you not enjoy that? How can you not enjoy power sliding this car?
That's a fantastic achievement in itself, but then you start realizing that there's more, that it's passed all the safety tests, that it isn't penalized by a gas guzzler tax, that it can run briefly as a zero-emissions electric car. And then there's the lateral limits. In my brief time there, the trouble wasn't with driving it, but comprehending what was happening. With the P1, you simply have to forget what you know about the capabilities of modern performance cars. The P1 changes everything.
We've reached a new threshold, a new level, a new performance benchmark. We've reached this new echelon of car, this new area, and it's wild. It is absolutely wild. Is it too much? That it starts to beg the question: is it too much?